Okay, and we are live, so happy 4th of July, everyone. I'm going to get a sip of my water and get in here, get ready for people to come in and ask questions. These tend to get, quite a few people in once I get this up and rolling. But a reminder here, guys, please be polite, please be respectful. I have been very respectful to people for a long time. Going to continue to do that on my platform, but I also require the same thing in return. In other words, be respectful. Don't touch upon things that you know are going to get you, banned or anything by me. And again, people say, well, what would be appropriate behavior? Well, don't say anything that you wouldn't say to another man in person, unless you thought they might pop you in the mouth, something you'd be comfortable saying with no risk of that. Don't say things that would get you written up or fired from your job. Those are good guidelines. Those are good guidelines to follow. And if you saw something in a troll video about me somewhere and you bring up that topic here, that's it, you're done. It's pretty straightforward. And that's very easy. Happy 4th of July, Coach. Happy 4th of July, everyone. How am I doing? I'm doing okay. How's Emma? Emperor put up her maxes all the time. I just put up a max today on every single platform. I have 3 platforms. I have YouTube, I have Facebook, I have Instagram. Okay. Her maxes go up on all 3 of them. They're all there. You just got to look. Just check, brother. It's pretty simple. Difference in floor press versus bench press for chest hypertrophy. That's very nuanced. It's going to depend upon the thickness of the lifter, for one. For thicker lifters, I think floor press can be a very, very good chest hypertrophy exercise. For less thick lifters, not so much. Chris, you know what I mean about trolling? Didn't you just see my comment about trolling? Any discussion of someone of that individual is trolling, right? He is never a serious topic. He is someone who has special needs. He's very much a special needs person who people make fun of, and even his fans really only follow him to make fun of him. Okay. All right. So be nice. I gave you a warning. Okay, low impact leg exercises for bad knees. James, you need to fix your bad knees. That's not a case of, hey, my knees are bad, so what low impact exercise can I do? It's like, what's going on with your knees and how can we build up the tissue around it? You need to spend a lot of time strengthening your hamstrings, for one. Number two, box squats. And I don't mean knees sliding forward box squats. You need to keep a vertical shank and work on box squats. Difference between dumbbell and barbell bench for hypertrophy. I've done countless videos on that, Brendan. We've already covered that quite a few times. And again, that's kind of detailed. Why don't you use 5 rep sets on accessories? Is doing only occasionally I do. It's like, that's like asking, I don't know. I don't have a good example for you there. I do use some 5 reps there. It's just the majority are closer to 10, the vast majority. I mean, Emma's long format. Well, Emperor, here's a general rule to follow. Anyone who's previously had a vlog, if you still see me occasionally put up some of their clips, they just don't want to vlog anymore. Okay, that's always the answer. That'll save you a lot of trouble. It means they're still a client, but they just don't want to vlog, and I use some of their maxes for shorts and reels. Okay. In Emma's case, she just didn't want the extra work of having to record that much stuff for vlogs. She because it's always voluntary. Like, it was a case of she volunteered to do the vlogs, and she just wanted to go to being a normal client again without vlogs. She liked the accountability for a good year. It can be a little bit much on there. Let's See, I do upper lower 4 days a week. Should I have a different upper day, or should I just do the same upper and lower twice a week? That's depends a lot. Depends completely on what's going on with your programming, right? So that's not a straightforward answer. Most of my lifters do something different though once they're not novices. Thoughts on phytoestrogen in milk? Phytoestrogen in milk? I've done some pretty long format videos about estrogen in milk, but phytoestrogens in milk? And it's also the estrogen in milk isn't something you should really be worried about. But as far as phytoestrogens in milk, shouldn't be any in there. Happy 4th of July from the UK. We'll get you back. Probably not. Jason is a female who weighs under 150, squatting 420 and benching around 240, not natural. Okay. So essentially, you're wanting me to specifically call out USAPL lifters by name for their drug use. You don't think that would be a bad idea on my part? Come on. See, because you threw a name in there, I'm not going to answer it just because I don't want to deal with potential slander. I deal with enough politics already in competing in powerlifting. I don't need that sort of blowback. Now, I would have given you a different answer had you not thrown a name in. All right. What got you into lifting? That's a long story. A lot of it has to do with overcoming childhood trauma. But again, I've discussed that in vast detail. Thoughts on the new studies in aspartame? I'm going to take the same stance most of the dietitians I know have. It's a new single study. We have huge amounts of data that doesn't agree with it, and kind of a bit of a joke at this point. I mean, realistically speaking, the overwhelming bulk of the data is you shouldn't worry about it, right? Again, people worry about the potential for carcinogens when the rest of their life is full of way stronger carcinogens. I mean, perfect example. You have people who worry about something like that, which would require huge amounts to be carcinogenic, but they'll drink alcohol every Friday night, even in moderation. We're not even in the same ballpark level of risk. Like 1 or 2 drinks a week is way worse for your health in terms of those things than having some aspartame. So therein lies the problem. People look at these minor things and they're not realizing that, they're really small in the grand scheme of things compared to just stuff that normal people already do all the time, many who consider themselves healthy. Was thinking, because I can bench 250 for 3x10, and I don't ever program for a main lift 3x10 as the only modality twice a week. I just wouldn't do that. Is there a way to reverse lactose intolerance? To reverse it? Not necessarily, but you can reduce symptoms. And it really seems to be a little more complicated than just having significant lactose intolerance or not. I'm mildly lactose intolerant, but for the milk here, I have to drink a significant amount to see a negative effect. And of course, I don't get any from other dairy like yogurt. But when I lived in the UK, 1 glass of milk would give me diarrhea immediately, and it didn't matter what brand. So, and I've heard that from other people. So it varies a lot, even just the sources of your milk, in regards to your personal severity of it. But if you have relatively serious lactose intolerance, just consume cultured dairy and don't worry about it, because you're not really going to fix it. Or you can take a lactate enzyme, right? Very inexpensive, or you can drink lactate milk. Will one lose any muscle strength in 14 days off training? Yeah, a little bit. How much should my overhead press be in relation to my flat bench? I don't think that you need to have ratios like that. Quite honestly, I only see the overhead press as an accessory at this point. really wouldn't push that. Jason, any advantages to goat meat dairy? I've heard it can be healthier than red meat. Not really. I don't think it's any difference in overall quality. It's just a slightly different nutrition to it, but it's not necessarily better or worse. Just some different ratios. But goat meat is a red meat. Do you get a good sense of purpose and accomplishment from helping hundreds of thousands of views and hundreds of clients in their strength and fitness journey, or is it just a business? Well, James, it's both. I absolutely get a personal sense of accomplishment from it. And so much so that I get emotionally connected to the performance of some of my own clients, actually. Like I get emotionally involved in their progress. Not all of them, but definitely some of them. But yeah, no, it absolutely gives me a sense of purpose, and I love getting people strong. But yes, it is a business at the same time. At the end of the day, it is my business and my livelihood. Actually, let's just done with that. How much does chin-ups carry over to pull-ups? I'm asking because the bar that I have is too narrow for regular pull-ups. I'm only comfortable to do chin-ups with it in the meantime. It has great carryover. Benefits of band pull-aparts, potential shoulder health, to develop your posterior delt rhomboids. Jason, do you ever do standing abdomen rollout? Stan Green uses this exercise a lot and has a super strong core. Well, there's lots of ways to do core. Do I have clients who do it and like it? Yes. I don't like it because my shoulder range of motion and structure of my shoulders don't like it. That's the problem. It's not just a core exercise, not just an ab exercise. But overall, it's a good exercise, right? I think it's a good exercise depending upon the person. If I had a bad session this morning, would it be stupid to try to redo the session later on? I think it would. Is it okay to do GBP after lower body workouts? I don't have time to do it on off days. Yeah, absolutely. I program that for some of my clients. Revival Fitness is anti-main gaining and other culinary and mainstream fitness he's adopted. He's admitted he's influenced by you, and he's a big proponent of bulking. Hopefully he becomes a client. Yeah, I don't know who he is, man. I don't know who he is. If he's interested in becoming a client, he just has to put in an application. Hey, Jason, hope you're doing well, bro. I do Ice Cream Fitness 2.0 program. How much of a difference maker would it be to replace the hyperextension for reverse hypers, considering buying the machine? I think there would definitely be a benefit. Like, dude, if you have access to a reverse hyper, yes, absolutely use them on the program. I will 100% support that. I think it would be an amazing idea if you have the budget and space for the machine. Would you do good mornings or barbell hip thrusts first? It's going to depend on where the client's weak. I would not have many clients who do both in the same workout, though. But if they do, it's usually going to be a little more novice clients. I'm generally going to have them do the good mornings first. Thoughts on a low cable row? I do volume deadlifts, so I need the low back sparing workout. Yeah, they're fine. I think you'd be possibly better off just doing a dumbbell. I like dumbbells for that sort of back support for the same thing. A lot of people would do a low cable row. I think a dumbbell is probably slightly better just because of the extra good grip benefits and things. I don't think it's going to build more back per se. Best exercise for spinal erectors, there is no best exercise. Any sort of deadlift, good morning, particularly reverse hypers. Jason, you said a few years ago that power cleans that. Oh man, it wasn't. I don't think it was a few years ago. It's probably further back at this point. I used to feel that way. I've talked to a lot of coaches who disagree, who I respect, who have said they don't actually always see carryover. Look, I know some great coaches who see carryover, but I also know some great coaches who also say it doesn't. I don't generally program or coach cleans or snatches unless my client's already proficient with them and likes doing them, in which case I'll work them into their program. Do you drink coffee or ingest caffeine to help you? I drink coffee in the mornings. I don't take caffeine pills, but for me, the caffeine is because I drink coffee in the morning these days. It's nothing to do with the training because I do it on my non-training days too. Is archery above a certain draw weight bad for the shoulders? Could it contribute to imbalances? That's a good question. I do not have an answer for you. How's that? I just told you I don't actually know. Hi, Jason. Can having an excessive amount of muscle have negative effects on longevity, even if natty? And if yes, what's too much? How do you want to define longevity? Living to 100? Yes, absolutely. Reducing all-cause mortality at 70, it's beneficial to have more. But the amounts a natty's going to develop, I honestly wouldn't worry about it. Again, people are not going to be as big drug-free as you really think they are. Sorry, that's reality. It's just not. But I know this guy who's drug-free. Yeah, he probably isn't. Jason, bench versus overhead press for shoulders. I like bench all day long over overhead press these days. How should novices program a deadlift? The way any novice program does it, just do programmed single sets like most novice programs prescribe, including mine. Works great. If they're going to do something like conjugate, then run a normal conjugate rotation with MB work every second week on it and speed work on it every week. Why do some people get knee pain from deep squats, but others don't? Different stress on the knee for that person, different overuse, different things going on. It's going to be differences in anatomy, going to be difference in muscle balance. That's really what it comes down to. You still have clients on 531? Nope. Jason, does muscle mass help keep you warm in cold weather, or am I warmer now from the extra body fat? I'm also health body fat, by the way. Yeah, it could probably help keep you warmer, particularly if you're eating a lot of carbs and things. Opinion on doing weighted pistol squats. I'm not a fan of pistol squats at all. I think they're a parlor trick, and I think they're kind of a terrible way to build muscle because you waste more time balancing than actually loading the muscle. I just don't think they're particularly good. All right. What are your thoughts on weighted inverted rows? Also, should I treat them like a primary or secondary exercise? I bought some rings to do them with. I don't think you need rings. I'm not a fan of rings in general. Just my opinion. Yeah, they're fine to do weighted. I've done them weighted on camera. I've done them with plates. I've done them with chains. I've even done them with a weight vest in the past. And they're always going to be kind of a secondary exercise. Thoughts on high rep push-ups, 1,000 a day for those unable to go to the gym. It's a good way to get overuse injuries. You need to find a way to get some weights. Do you still program dynamic effort work for most of your clients? I feel like it takes away from repetition effort work. Approximation. I'm going to say approximately 50 to 60% of my clients do speed work. Let's see. What type of programming do your non-conjugate clients do? Just straight up individual programming where I just write out their weights and set up every week. It still tends to be upper lower type rotations. It's just that if they're not doing conjugate, it's usually just normal sets across for relatively heavy work and then accessory work of some type. And then the programming of it is going to be really based upon what that person needs. Right? I mean, like what I do right now is somewhat of an example. I don't have a football bar. Can doing standing shoulder press with dumbbells be a good alternative? Yeah, it's fine. It's just a very different movement with dumbbells. What is your approach to sun exposure health-wise? Any benefits beyond vitamin D? Maybe not. I think that, again, you need to be aware of skin cancer and things like that. But that's also going to be a factor with the amount of melanin in your skin, what sort of sun you're being exposed to, what sort of climate. That's a very complex topic. Now that I think about it, probably more than we can come up with here. Best prehab exercises for tendons. That's going to depend. Being strong, not having dietary deficiencies, not crashing your estrogen levels, but outside of that, band work in general. But, it's going to depend on the tendon too. Jason, do you like double progression or dynamic double progression for accessory single joint exercises? No. Do gym lifts count as elite lifts or competition only? If they would pass and meet, then yes. I mean, if you can hit an elite bench in the gym with real plates and you pause it and your butt stays on the bench, yes, that's still an elite lift. It's better to do it in competition, okay? Right? Better to do it in competition. It's going to have more validity and carry more weight. But you don't stand here and watch someone deadlift 700 pounds with a power bar who's not using bumper plates, so there's not a huge amount of bend, and you don't, and does it without hitching, and you don't go, oh, that guy doesn't have an elite lift. Come on, that's nonsense. You see what I'm saying there? It is better and has more validity in competition. But you don't say a person isn't strong or doesn't have elite strength if they can clearly lift elite weights. But the caveat being, again, it does have more validity if they do it on the platform, yes. And I would think most people would agree with that. Overhead press and simple T-bar deads for the traps. Coach, your advice is simple and to the point. I think rows and deadlifts will get the traps done. How long is a pause meant to be in a comp standard bench press? As long as it takes for the bar to stop moving. I've seen 5-second pauses in competition because the bar wasn't stabilized yet. The judge is waiting for the bar to stop moving. That's what they're looking for. It might be a fourth of a second, but in the most extreme case, I have seen up to 5 seconds because it took them that long to stabilize it. Okay. Do most of your clients run standard Kajin or your current type of programming with much more specificity? That depends a lot, Darko. If you kind of watch through the vlogs, there's a good mix, right? I have some who run really high variation, like 12 different presses, 12 different types of squats. They max on good mornings, all that stuff, right? And I have others who we only have about 4 lifts in the rotation, sometimes less for their max effort work. So it depends upon the equipment the lifter has, their psychology, mindset, all those things. That's what I'm looking at when determining those things. Like, what do they need? And I think particularly for power lifters who have certain mentalities, I'm going to do actually lower variation. My fighters, like they do BJJ or something, I love rotating as many maxes as I can throw with them. I want every oddball max I can find. I want cambered bars against chains, whatever. Okay. All right. Where are we at in this mix? Is it true you should only have your butt slightly on the bench to get more leg drive on bench press? No, dig those glutes in. Assuming that's the real Alan, then glad to have you in. It may or may not be. There's so many fakes coming through right now, it could be a troll. Alan, let me know if that's actually really you or not. Shoot me a text in our DMs back and forth. Serious question. When women with bigger chest bench do their breasts get in the way or shorten the range of motion, how's pec development change? How their breasts look? Yeah, it can absolutely get in the way, but it's going to depend on the touch point. I mean, I touch way below that. So where I touch, for example, if they replicated that, it would be completely irrelevant. Because I don't actually touch on my chest. I actually touch on my stomach when I bench. So all those, like those 315 times 8 you guys have seen me do, those are all below my rib cage. All right. All below the rib cage. I just discussed lactose intolerance. We're not doing that again. How long do you think it takes to get my overhead press from 185 to 200? I don't know how long. You might not ever get there. You might do that in 1 week. It might take you 15 years. I don't know. It's a lot going on. Is it worth identifying? No, James, I'm not going to touch that topic with a 10-foot pole. Jason, can I improve my squat depth? Oh, you almost got me. That was slick. Bye-bye. Is it okay to do my weighted dips while resting from my weighted chin-ups I've been doing lately to save time? I believe it's called antagonistic supersets. I like antagonistic supersets. I do a lot of them myself. How come you can't figure out who is a troll? It's not possible to click on a channel. No, Darko, not from here. I can't. Not from the live stream. You literally can't. Is it important that plates and reps are standardized for gym lifts, or should the weights be standardized? You claim they are different. Well, Zach, I mean, that's the tricky thing, right? Are you dealing with any injuries at the moment? Nope. Hey, Jason, I wanted to ask something regarding squatting. I usually have a heavy squat doing sets of 5 and a lighter day doing sets of 8. Do you recommend utilizing stretch reflex, both reps? Yeah, most of the time, unless you need to train pause squats as an assistance movement. When is it a good time to decide to end a bulk? That's completely subjective, Marco. You might do it for health purposes. You might do it for confidence purposes. You might end it due to body weight cutoffs. There's a whole lot of reasons. It's a whole lot of reasons that would factor into determining exactly when you personally need to do it. If a test booster came out that was peer-reviewed, studied, and had consistent benefits in all studies, would you change your mind on it? Maybe. It better be cheaper than testosterone, which it's not going to be. The problem is it's not going to happen. I doubt we will see it anytime soon. And even if we did, it will become illegal. There's your problem. Is there benefits to hot and cold treatments purely for recovery? I don't think there is to cold. Do you think that it's possible to get stronger by exclusively using supersets during training due to time constraints? Possibly, yeah. Why did YouTube remove dislikes? They didn't. Dislikes are still there. You still get the engagements. They're just hidden. So they've allowed them to still give you the engagements for the algorithm. Like, you still get the benefits. It's just that they can't harass you by everyone seeing it. My channel was one of the case studies, actually. Someone at Google who I'd been talking to, a rep, told me that my actual channel was one of the channels that made them change it. Like, I was one of the ones they studied to determine it needed to be done. So for my trolls who ran the dislike bots, you guys impacted Google and YouTube's policies. Congratulations. They changed the entire system because of you guys. Why some natties act holier than thou? Massive insecurity issues. Plus, they're probably not natty. Some people buying Turkestone makes me sick. Yeah, I agree. It's ludicrous. Ludicrous. It's an absolute scam. When is it best to do continuous cuts in bulks of 10 pounds versus one large bulk? Weight class athletes, I like to do that. Is it true that loads of at least 70% want to mix up hypertrophy, tendons, and ligaments? Yeah, no, 70% should absolutely hypertrophy take tendons. I was a fan or a friend. Well, George and I got along. We were cool. We were cool with each other back in the day. Someone asked me, are those Fender guitars? Yes, both of them. The white one with the maple neck is a Player Series, and the rosewood neck is a American Professional 2. What's the worst and most useless supplement? Dude, there's so many I couldn't even tell you. Test boosters, BCAA, CLA. Did I say BCAAs? Turkestone, all that. Those are all completely useless. Hypothetically, in muscle to bench 4 or 5 by doing it exclusively, phew, that's going to be a stretch. It's possible, but it wouldn't be the most efficient. It's not the most efficient way to get there. It really isn't. As the overuse risk is going to be high if you're doing only body weight exercises to get enough muscle to bench 405. I mean, so I can't say that I would recommend you do that. It is hypothetically possible. All right. So, about to wind this down. Okay, guy says, is playing guitar or other instruments attractive to women? Yeah, women usually like musicians to some extent. It can absolutely be helpful if you're doing it because you enjoy it. You know, if you're doing it because you enjoy it. All right, so time to go ahead and wind this down. So I hope it's been informative. I love all of you guys and gals, and I will talk to you guys next time.